Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to another video on my channel. Basically today I'm going to be running through how I get my drums sounding the way they do in my tracks. A lot of people are asking how to kind of make a drum sound nice and thick and full in your track, so I'm going to go through a track that I have coming out soon. It's a remix of a track called Can't Get Mine by Dr. Boom. It's coming out on July 19th I think. Yeah, this track, I really like how the drums sound in this. I was really pleased with kind of all the processing and stuff that I did in the drums. And they're all sounding nice and kind of punchy, and I'm going to run through them here, go through them bit by bit and show you how I do my thing. I'm just going to solo the drum track here and I'm going to play the first few bars of it for you, show you what's going on and what they sound like. So you can hear there that the drums are really kind of, the kick is really like punchy and subby, and then the claps are real thick, and the hi-hats all sound like they're kind of spaced out and whatever else. So I'm going to just run down through each kind of drum. It's going to take a while, but hopefully I'll get through it quick enough and show you what I'm doing. Like I was saying in the last video, I separate my kicks into sub kick, top kick and high kick. You don't have to do that, it's just the way that I've always worked, and I find that I just have more control over my kick and I can make different sounds. I'll start off with the sub kick, because that's generally what I start off with when I'm making a track. This is what it sounded like before. Horrible, way too kicky, but the sub end was nice. So I rolled it off at 550 hertz and pulled it down around 272, just because there was a lot of kind of pre-saturation and kind of distortion in the kick there. You can see it here if I zoom in. There's a lot of kind of, it looks like it's been limited and distorted a bit at the start, but the end of it is nice. So I just pulled back that frequency there just to take it out. Then I added a top kick on top, and this is what it sounds like by itself without any of the effects. So it's a nice kick, but there's not really any low end to it, but I like the top end, so I've chosen to use the top end for it. I've added some saturation and an EQ, obviously rolled it off at 550 where I rolled off the other kick, and then rolled it off at 2K at the top just because I didn't want any more of them like real high frequencies in it. I also have a utility selecting the right hand side, and the same with the sub kick, it's selecting the right hand side just because they were more powerful on the mix and they were kind of panned a bit more to the right, so I'm selecting that side. Then I have my high kick here, which is basically just like a little closed hat sound at the top of a loop. I've cut out a bit of the start and I've just selected this small bit here. I have a vocoder and an EQ on it, and again I have a utility on it as well, just selecting the left side. This is what it sounds like before. Just a typical closed hat, but you can hear if you listen closely that the phase on each side, like there's a kind of a delay or like a dimension expander kind of effect on each side, and you can hear it playing through two speakers separately. There's almost a bit of delay on the right side speaker, so I've selected the utility and put it on the left hand side. So that sorts that out straight away. Then I have a vocoder on it. I use vocoder on hats a lot, and it kind of thickens them up as well, and I'm going to get to that now in a bit. A lot of people wouldn't think to really use it, but it does sound nice when you put it on certain hats and stuff and kind of dial it down a bit. This one's on 100% dry, 150 millisecond release, and it's on -3 on the format. And then I have it rolled off at 2K and rolled off at 8K as well, just because I didn't want really like a lot of highs in there. So that sounds like this. So I'll just show you what the vocoder is doing. This is it off, and this is it back on. Off. On. So it's making it a bit more old schooly sound and giving the kick a nice high end to it. Okay, so that's the kick. What I've done on top of it here, there's a good bit of processing on it here. I have a saturator on 8 drive and -8 output, and then the bass is set to 5 just to give it a bit more saturation. Then I have an EQ, which is doing a lot. I have it boosted up around 50 hertz, pulled down at 150 because it was just too much punch with the saturation. Most of the time I have a saturator before my EQ, because then I pull back the frequencies I'm not feeling from the saturator that's given. I also have a pull down here at 276, 344, 861 and 2400 hertz. And again I have it rolled off at 12K and rolled off underneath 30K. Then I have a second EQ here, which is just pulling down the 290 mark. See what it does. Now you can hear a really kind of MIDI punch there that I didn't really like. Then I have a glue compressor. The attack is set to 30, the release is set to 0.1, and the ratio is up to 10. It's down to -23 threshold because this kick was relatively quiet, and then the makeup is pushed back up to 5 again. What I generally try to do is have my kick hitting up around 8, between 8 and 6, something like that. Then we'll move on to the percussion, so I'll just solo these and play them by themselves. So you can hear there's a good bit going on and just the percussions by themselves, and it's keeping the track kind of interesting and stuff. As I was saying in my last video, I generally pick a clap center, a clap left, and a clap right just to kind of thicken things out. Here I've just found a clap loop that I liked for the center. I thought it was nice and thick and it fit the track nicely. Then I have a left clap here, and you can see there's a lot of like offbeats on the left clap, and again they're contrasting with the ones on the right side. And if you move over to the other one, they're kind of swapped around as well. So what I generally do is kind of add a nice little groove with my left clap, and then do like left right, and copy them over to the right clap, if you get what I mean. Basically I had all of these together like this before, but I've selected some to delete and remove from the right clap and kind of have it panning each side of the speaker, again just to keep it interesting. So this is the left clap, typical 909 clap, and then this is my right clap. So I'll just play the two of them together here just to show you kind of the way that the groove that I've made is bouncing off each speaker and everything else. So you can hear there like it's going right, left when the offbeat claps come on. Just giving it a bit extra groove. This is the three claps together then. That center clap is really kind of making it a lot thicker. Then I also have a snare layered on top as well and playing a few off notes. Just to kind of add more body to the claps as well, so I'll play them together. Then I have this breakbeat sample that I found that sounds like this. You can hear there that I've sidechained it with a compressor that is linked to my Ghost Kick up here. So then I have sidechain audio from Ghost Kick, and basically when the Ghost Kick is playing, it's pulling it back down there, as you can see. And I have that heavily EQ'd there, so this is it without everything. And then I just have this EQ on it just to slot it into the mix a bit better. Then we have the first percussion sound. I remember this was in like a top loop or something like that, and I just liked the one percussion out of it. So instead of sampling it, I went in and I tweaked the volume control and I came out with this. Yeah, you can see there on the waveform it's panned more to the left, and I did want to pan it to the left anyway, so I just left it the way it was. Then we have the second percussion here. This is this sound. Nice little low percussion sound just to add to it. So I'll play that and the break together. Then I'm going to have to skip forward here halfway into the intro because I want to show you this little loop here that I consolidated. I just added this in because it was just nicer, and again, it fills up the track a lot more. There was percussion loops that I kind of chopped up and threw into this, and you can see there that a lot of them were playing on the left hand side. So as I did with the kick, I've selected the right hand side because I liked them a lot more and they were kind of nicer. And on the left hand side I think there was like loads of shakers and stuff, so just to take them out I selected the right hand side and EQ'd it a bit. Then I'm going to go down to percussion 5 here as well because percussion 4 doesn't come in for a long time, which is another sample that I've grabbed. That's basically just a top loop that I layered in the background. A lot of people give out to people for using top loops, but I think if you don't just drag in a drum loop into your track and basically think, oh, there's my drums done. If you layer a top loop nice in the background and kind of EQ it to fit your track, it does make your tracks a lot fuller, and I tend to do it a good bit. So I'm going to turn off the top loop in the back and play the kick as well. I'll show you how it's sounding. Then this is with the top loop in the background. There's just a lot more going on, and again the good thing was that the percussion that is in the top loop, which I literally selected after doing all the other percussion because it's in percussion 5, kind of complements the other percussion that I've already selected, so it does help kind of fill up the sound a lot more. Then we're going to move on to the hi-hats. So this is what the hi-hats sound by themselves. So again, like I said in my last video, I selected a center hi-hat. Sounds like this. Actually, yeah, I have a vocoder. So I'm going to go into the vocoder thing here now just before I go into end because it is on the bus and it's affecting all the hi-hats. This is the hi-hats without the vocoder. Sounds okay, but then when I put the vocoder on, kind of makes them a lot thicker and like fills out the sound and this type of thing. And you'll hear it a lot more when the 909 hat comes in. So I'm just going to play that now. Kind of all the hi-hats and the shakers and everything are playing here. So I'll start it without it and I'll turn it on. You can hear that it does add a lot of depth and a lot more textures to your sound. And it works nice on hi-hats when it's used the right way. So I have the format here on 1. I have the dry wet set to 37 because I didn't want it affecting it too much. You'll hear here if I have it on 100. It just sounds awful. So then I have the release on 100 as well because I didn't want too much of the hi-hats drowning out and carrying over onto the other ones. Back again to my center hi-hat is just this sound. A nice kind of low hi-hat. And then my left hat. High one to fill up stereo frequencies, and then the right one. Another high end one to kind of fill up the stereo frequencies a bit more. And I found this, which is like a little sample of, it's kind of like a little kind of shaker hat. I just added it over the top halfway through the first section of the intro just to kind of have something different coming in. So you'll hear the difference when it comes in on top. It does kind of add a lot more layers and a lot more depth to your sound. Then I have this little hi-hat loop that I found. Basically, it's just the on and off beats, so it kind of adds more textures to the kick, like I was saying in the last video. I have a side chain as well here to the ghost kick, so it's just kind of filling up the other hi-hats and kind of, as I keep saying, it's adding more textures to my sound. So that's adding more texture to the kick and it's adding stereoization to the hi-hats as well. Then I have this little hi-hat thing here. This is another percussion loop that I found, or a top loop. And again, I've just gone through it. With the clip and volume, I've pulled it down and kind of selected little bits that I like. So this is what this sounds like. Then we come over here to the 909 hi-hat. It sounds nice with the vocoder on top of it as well. Then we have this little shaker. Because this is a remix, then we come on to the stems as well. So a good few of these like little drum things are kind of chopped up stems and stuff, just consolidating. I know this one is definitely taken from the stems of the original track. This just sounds like this. Yeah, that's basically the drums in this track, bar the other percussion that comes back in. So percussion 4 here. Again, this was another loop that I found that I didn't like the whole thing and I didn't want to drag the whole thing in. I just found a few little sounds that were like kind of tribally percussions just to kind of add some variation in the sound and kind of spice up the mix a bit more. I added delay on that as well. There wasn't any delay on it before and it was just real kind of stuttery percussion-y sounds. But I just like these. I threw a little delay that had like 1/16th time delay on top of it, and then I just bounced it out and dragged it back in again so I could turn it into a loop. Then we have these up here that kind of add, again, make sure that there's kind of something always going on in your track. So this is a big clap, as I like to call it. So this is basically just a clap sample. I'll show you what it sounds like without all the processing and everything else. It's just a typical clap sound. But what I've done, like in the other video, I was showing how I do my delays and reverbs. I've gone into an audio effects rack. I've got some ping pong delay, compressor, and side chained it to the actual clap sound so it's not contrasting with it whenever it's playing. And then same again with the reverb. I've just gone in and I've side chained it to the actual clap, just so the reverb isn't playing on the second clap and kind of taken away from the mix. Then I have that actually side chained to the center clap. You can see it here. Just because I know it's going to hit on a few notes that the original claps are already hitting on, and I don't want it to like make them extremely loud. So here there, it just kind of pulls it down a bit when the claps play. So that's basically most of the drums in there. I'm surprised there actually isn't more because it sounds a lot thicker than the other kind of tracks. So I'll just give you a little snippet of the track here, what it sounds like all together. This is the second breakdown leading into the drop. I'm just going to close all these down and go over to the other screen. And yeah, I'll leave you with the audio of this remix that should be coming out soon. I think it's coming out on the 19th of July. It's my remix of Can't Get Mine by Dr. Boom. Should be coming out on Del Sol. So if you like it, leave a comment below. If there's anything else you want me to cover in other videos, let me know and I'll be sure to cover them. And yeah, thanks for watching again. Peace.